What's up guys, TGA here. I'm here to start a new series where I'm gonna try and explain every class and spec as best as I can at a beginner level. There are tons of guides and sites out there for intermediate or hardcore levels, but I'm here to hopefully teach you all some basic stuff and get you started with whatever class you wanna play. I do want to add that I do not have any beta access, which means these guides won't include any artifact stuff or demon hunter stuff, but they will include every other legion class changes. Starting off the series, we're going to be looking at Frost Death Knights. Frost Death Knights' main resources are Runic Power and Frost Runes. They have 100 Runic Power and 6 Frost Runes. Here are the basic abilities that you'll find yourself spamming while playing Frost Death Knights. Frost Strike, that costs 25 Runic Power. Howling Blast costs 1 Rune. Frost Fever, which is a disease applied by Howling Blast. Obliterate, which costs 2 Rune. Death Strike, which costs 1 Rune. Now let's look at the uses and benefits of these abilities. First up, we have Frost Strike, basic single target ability that does frost damage to the target. Frost damage increases or decreases based on your mastery. Then we have Howling Blast, a AoE or area of effect ability that hits a target for an amount of frost damage and hits every target within 10 yards of the main target for a lesser amount of frost damage. It also leaves a dot or a damage over time effect called Frost Fever. Frost Fever is the disease that causes them to take frost damage over 24 seconds and has a chance to generate 5 Runic Power every time it does damage. Then we have Obliterate, the ability that does a certain amount of physical damage. Since this is just straight up physical damage, it will depend on your weapon strength and not your mastery, which also means compared to Frost Strike, it will do lesser damage. Then we have Death Strike, another attack that does single target physical damage, but it also heals you for 20% of your damage taken in the last 5 seconds. This healing is limited only to 7% of your health. Death Strike is usually not used in the main rotation because of its low DPS, but used in desperate times for the quick heal. Next, we have CD abilities or cooldown abilities. This should usually be timed properly for maximum damage. First up, we have Remorseless Winter, costs 1 Frost Rune with a 20-second cooldown. Then we have Pillar of Frost, which costs nothing but is on a 1-minute cooldown. Then we have Icebound Fortitude, also costs nothing but is on a 3-minute cooldown. And then we have Anti-Magic Shield, which also costs nothing but has a 1-minute cooldown. And then finally Mind Freeze, which also costs nothing but is on a 15-second cooldown. Now let's look at their uses and benefits. First up, we have Remorseless Winter, another AoE ability that does frost damage around you for 8 seconds and also slows down the enemy's movement speed by 50%. Next up, we have Pillar of Frost, a powerful ability that increases strength by 20% and grants immunity to external movement effects such as knockbacks. It lasts 20 seconds. Now 20% strength might not seem like much, but strength is the basic stat that correlates with every other damage you do, meaning your entire damage goes up by 20% for those 20 seconds, which is pretty insane. Next up, we have Icebound Fortitude. It reduces all the damage you take by 20%, which makes you immune to stun effects for 8 seconds. It can also be used while stunned to remove yourself from the stun. Next up, we have Anti-Magic Shield. It surrounds you in an anti-magic shell for 5 seconds, absorbing a certain amount of magic damage and preventing application of magical effects. The damage you absorb while this is active will also be converted into Runic Power. Next up, we have Mind Freeze, the basic interrupt ability that interrupts any interruptible spell and preventing the players or mobs from casting spells from that spell school for another 3 seconds. Now that we've looked at all the basic abilities, let's take a look at the DK's talents. First up, in tier 1, we have Shattering Strikes, Icy Talents and Murderous Efficiency. Shattering Strikes, if there are 5 stacks of Razor Eyes on the target, Frost Strike will consume them and deal 50% additional damage. Icy Talents, Frost Strike also increases your melee attack speed by 10% for 6 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. Murderous Efficiency, consuming the Killing Machine effect has a 50% chance to cause you to gain 1 rune. Both Murderous Efficiency and Shattering Strikes are a bit lagging behind than Icy Talents because it can go up to 30% extra attack speed for almost 18 seconds, which is really nice when you're in the battle and doing lots of stuff. It can count as a lot of DPS as time goes on. Now let's get on to the second tier of talents. We have Freezing Fog, Frozen Pulse and Horn of Winter. Freezing Fog, Howling Blast and Frost Fever deal 50% increased damage. Frozen Pulse, while you have no full runes, your auto attacks radiate intense cold, inflicting a certain amount of frost damage on all nearby enemies. And Horn of Winter, blow the Horn of Winter, gaining 1 rune and generating 5 rune power. Now Freezing Fog and Frozen Pulse both are passive effects, while Horn of Winter is a spammable, every 30 seconds spammable instant effect. It can give you 1 rune and generate 5 runic power, which does not seem like much runic power. It is a lot of runes though that you can catch up with in a lot of DPS. That's why we're gonna go with Horn of Winter in this tier of talents. Now let's move on to tier 3 talents. You have Ice Cap, Hungering Rune Weapon and Avalanche. Ice Cap, your Frost Strike, Frost Scythe and Obliterate critical strikes reduce the remaining cooldown of your Pillar of Frost by 1 second. Hungering Rune Weapon, empower your rune weapon gaining 1 rune and 5 runic power instantly and every 1.5 seconds for 9 seconds after. Avalanche, while Pillar of Frost is active, or your melee critical strikes, you cause jagged icicles to fall down on your nearby enemies, dealing a certain amount of frost damage. Now Ice Cap and Avalanche only do a certain amount of damage as time goes on, and decreasing Pillar of Frost's cooldown by 1 second every time you crit, or Obliterate is not going to reduce its cooldown by much. That's why we go with Hungering Rune Power. Basically empowers your rune weapon, and you gain 1 rune and 5 runic power every 1.5 seconds for 9 seconds, which means you almost get 7 runes, which is really fast for how much rune it generates and how much rune you normally generate passively. So we're gonna go with Hungering Rune Weapon in this tier of talent. Now let's look at the tier 4 talents. We have Abomination's Might, Blinding Sleet, and Winter is Coming. Abomination's Might: Obliterate critical strikes have a chance to drive lesser enemies to the ground, stunning them for 2 seconds, laser dazed for 5 seconds instead. Blinding Sleet: targets in a cone in front of you are blinded, causing them to wander disoriented for 4 seconds. Damage may cancel that effect. Winter is Coming: enemies struck 5 times by Remorseless Winter while your Pillar of Frost is active are stunned for 4 seconds. Now Blinding Sleet is really not safe in PvP because you're gonna accidentally pull more mobs in dungeons and raids, so we're not gonna even touch that. Abomination's Might, although it's pretty good, 2 seconds of stun isn't that good against what we have in Winter is Coming, which is 4 seconds of stun. Also, you're going to be spamming Pillar of Frost with Remorseless Winter a lot, so the 4 second stun is going to happen a lot, which means your AoE is going to be a lot much better since you're going to be spamming Howling Blast too. So we're going to go with Winter is Coming on tier number 4. Now let's move on to tier 5 talents. We have Volatile Shielding, Permafrost, and White Walker. Volatile Shielding: your anti-magic shield turns your enemy's pathetic magic against them, absorbing 35% more damage but generating no runic power. When it expires, 25% of all damage absorbed is dealt as arcane damage divided among nearby enemies. Permafrost: when you deal damage with your auto attacks, gain an absorbed shield equal to 30% of the damage dealt. White Walker: you take 20% reduced damage while Wraith Walk is active. When you enter or leave Wraith Walk, all nearby enemies are slowed by 50% for 3 seconds. First, Volatile Shielding seems like a good ability at first, but the amount of runic power you will generate in the normal anti-magic shield is a lot. You just can't compare it to how much of a damage this thing does after it expires and blows up. White Walker also seems fun, but when you're using Wraith Walker in a raid or a dungeon situation, it's probably going to be in a boss fight or just open spaces to catch up with your team. So it's not really a fun thing to have when you're 50% slow just sitting there doing nothing. So we're gonna go with Permafrost. When you do auto attacks, it gives you 30% of shield from whatever damage you dealt. It's pretty awesome because you're gonna be doing a lot of auto attacks as you go in your rotation, and you won't even notice the shield you're stacking up. And the anti-magic shield also is gonna provide you a lot of shielding. So this is currently the best talent to go with in tier 5. Now let's move on to the 6th tier of talents. We have Frost Scythe, Runic Attenuation, and Gathering Storm. Frost Scythe: a sweeping attack that strikes all enemies in front of you for a certain amount of frost damage. This attack benefits from Killing Machine. Critical strikes with Frost Scythe deal 4 times the normal damage. Runic Attenuation: auto attacks generate 1 runic power. Gathering Storm: each rune spent during Remorseless Winter increases its damage by 10% and extends its duration by 0.5 seconds. Now Gathering Storm is sometimes viable. It is sometimes viable for the AoE damage, I guess. Sometimes when you want to increase the damage that you're doing. But Runic Attenuation, like why would you even think of this? Like, auto attacks generate 1 runic. If it was at least 1 rune, I'd be like, oh, 1 rune, that's great, wow. 1 runic, so it's not that good. Just don't choose this shit. Now Frost Scythe, the animation, I would choose that shit just for the animation. You're gonna see the animation of it. I wouldn't even tell you, whoa, that's Frost Scythe. You will just notice, oh shit, that's Frost Scythe. And this thing is just beautifully done. Its damage is insane when Killing Machine procs and the crit procs, and you just hit with that Frost Scythe. It's just insane, guys. So we're gonna go with Frost Scythe. None of these other shitty talents. So that's what we're gonna go with, the 6th tier of talents. Now let's move on to the 7th and final tier of talents. We have Obliteration, Breath of Cindergosa, and Glacial Advance. Obliteration: for the next 8 seconds, every Frost Strike hit triggers Killing Machine, and Obliterate costs 1 less rune. Breath of Cindergosa: continuously deal a certain amount of frost damage, shadow frost damage, every 1 second to enemies in a cone in front of you. Deals reduced damage to secondary targets. You will continue breathing until your runic power is exhausted, or you cancel the effect. Glacial Advance: summon glacial spikes from the ground that advance forward, each dealing a certain amount of frost damage to the enemies near their eruption point. Now all 3 of these are actually pretty viable options. You could go Breath of Cindergosa sometimes. I go Breath of Cindergosa sometimes when I have to do massive amounts of AoE, and I know I'm going to be churning out a lot of runic power. At that time, Breath of Cindergosa is really viable, and it's a pretty good damage too. Glacial Advance is also pretty good damage, but its aim is just kinda annoying because it can go past your enemies and pull more enemies. When you're close range, it's not really that good. So you don't really have a target where it'll stop and just hit there. It's just gonna go past whatever enemy you hit. It goes pretty far too, so it's kinda annoying. And then we have Obliteration. For the next 8 seconds, every Frost Strike hit triggers Killing Machine, and Obliterate costs 1 less rune. Now this, if you remember Frost Sight, and this is gonna be awesome. For next 8 seconds, you're just gonna be spamming that Frost Strike and Frost Scythe over and over again. Those Frost Scythe crits are gonna be massive. If it's AoE, the mobs are gonna die within 8 seconds. You won't even be like, you'll be like, what? Obliteration is not even over yet. Are you all dead? That's how Frost Scythe is gonna be, guys. These two combo out really well. Breath of Cindergosa, sometimes, yeah, but Frost Scythe and Obliteration, always. Now that's what we're going to choose for 7th tier of talents. Now we're done with all the talents. We're going to jump into rotations real quick. I'll catch you guys up in game. Alright guys, now that we've looked at all the basic abilities, talents and all that stuff, let's go ahead and get into rotation. Now for rotation, I'm here in Stormwind in PTR. We're just here at the normal training dummies, level under training dummies, which should be equal to our level. I am a 733 DK. Remember, Obliterate and Frost Scythe will get a bonus from my tier set, which is Obliterate and Frost Scythe. I have a 65% chance to not consume Killing Machine. This will not be happening, of course, in your normal tier sets or when you're leveling. So let's just keep that in mind. You won't be using Frost Scythe as often as I do. I currently do not have any other gear on PTR, so we're just gonna have to run with this DK. Also, I do not want to test on a 680 DK because the level under dummies won't take as much DPS from a 680 DK as a 733, which is kind of lower level in Legion. So this seems to be the best version to do it on. So let's go ahead. We're going to start off with Pillar of Frost. Always use Pillar of Frost when it's off CD. I've made some weak auras and stuff in live for Pillar of Frost. Weak aura is an add-on that shows you cooldowns and stuff in big noticeable versions or icons so that you can actually remember what they're doing. So I have weak auras for Pillar of Frost. I might add some for Hungering Rune Weapon or Obliteration maybe in the future. So to keep Pillar of Frost off CD all the time, use it off CD all the time, and use Remorseless Winter if you're in AoE. We're not going to look at Remorseless Winter right now because we're not going into AoE. We'll be going into single target, but still Frost Scythe will crit everything around it, so I'm just going to use it anyway. And we have Obliteration, and we have Hungering Rune Weapon, and also Horn of Winter. Now we're going to open with Pillar of Frost, throw in a couple Howling Blasts, and then we're going to use Obliteration, and then start using Frost Strike, and then once Frost Strike is used, you'll get a crit buff from Killing Machine because of Obliteration, and once that happens, we'll just start spamming Frost Scythe. And while this is all going on, Remorseless Winter will be on, and when we run out of runes or runic power, we will use Horn of Winter, and once Horn of Winter goes out of use, we will use Hungering Rune Weapon. So this is how your rotation is going to go. Icebone Fortitude or anything else doesn't come right now, or even Anti-Magic Shield doesn't come into the rotation because we're just doing damage, not taking damage. So let's go ahead and try this out. Pillar of Frost, Remorseless Winter, Howling Blast, Howling Blast, Howling Blast, and after a few, use Frost Strike, crit with Frost Scythe. I haven't even used my Obliteration yet. Again, Obliteration, Frost Scythe, Frost Scythe. As you can see, my Killing Machine lasts for more than once, so that's why my tier is kind of awesome right now. So we're going to throw in a more Howling Blast, and then Remorseless Winter again, and Frost Strike, Frost Strike, and then Frost Scythe. And as you can see, as I told you guys, Frost Scythe is a beautiful animation. Now we're going to use Horn of Winter, and then throw in a bit more Frost Scythes. And once Frost Strikes are done, we're going to use Frost Scythe to crit with that Killing Spree. And once that Killing Mission, Killing Spree. And once that's done, we're going to use Hungering Rune Weapon, throw in more Howling Blasts, and then switch on Remorseless Winter, switch on Frost Strike, use it a couple times until Killing Machine procs. Come on, proc you nasty bastard. Alright, we're getting Horn of Winter again, we're going to use that, and we're going to start spamming Frost Scythe, and we're going to use Remorseless Winter again. As you can see, my DPS is hovering around 64k, 65k, we have Pillar of Frost again, we're going to use that shit, And as you can see, there's almost zero downtime in DK's rotation right now, which is pretty insane. You can still spam Frostbite even if it does lesser damage. It's still gonna do a pretty good amount of damage. So that's your DK rotation, guys. Just basic stuff. As you can see, I only have like 10 max 10 abilities on my bar that I use mainly. So nothing much. It's actually 9 abilities. And you also have Death Grip, which is a ability that you can use to pull targets near. So that's our rotation. As you can see, Frostbite did the highest damage. It crit almost 36 times, which means it did 4 times the damage 36 times, which is pretty insane. And then we have Frost Fever doing the highest damage because of the AoE. As you can see, Frost Fever would have still ticked. Like as you can see, Frost Fever is applied on every target that you hit Howling Blast with. So that's why you get Frost Fever on one of the top DPS. And then we have Frost Strike. Wait, let me just open that fight. Yeah. And then we have Frost Strike, which crit again for 7 times but hit 12 times. So it probably crit a lot lesser than we expected it to, and that's why Obliteration comes in handy while you're opening on bosses or dungeon bosses or even rares and stuff. And then we have a normal attack afterwards. As you can see, most of these are just gonna fade out afterwards. Howling Blast also comes off top. So Critical Strike 15 times out of 42. So that's pretty fine because Howling Blast Critical Strike does not really matter much when you have something like Frost Strike just obliterating everything. Obliterate does come in handy sometimes, but it isn't gonna do as much DPS as Frostbite does. So that's all for the DK rotation, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is for the Frost DK guide. I hope to make more guides on other classes in the future. Hopefully I get the time and the resources to do that. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you guys up right here next time. Bye bye. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please be sure to like and comment and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you guys want to buy or sell games with great deals and offers, please be sure to check out g2a.com with the referral link in the description below.